Okay, I apologize. I'm a little bit hoarse from yelling at a sports match recently. But I figured that because every man and his dog has done this, I feel like the only person in the world who hasn't sounded off with an opinion on the Merkel and Jerkel sob fest story. So I wanted to give my take on the situation with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, having watched the Netflix documentary series. I haven't read much of his book. I've got some takeaways that he had a fight with his with his brother, but based solely on what I've seen and heard reported, and on the Netflix series, I'm going to give my take here. My take is that everyone's got it wrong. Meghan Markle came across as quite compelling in the series. Her arguments, there was no kind of factual incongruities. Everything seemed to kind of make sense in what she was saying. The story was consistent. She came across as someone who's compassionate, who found herself in a situation that she was not able to handle, and that was mainly due to UK tabloid media pressure and the absurd and ridiculous stories they were fabricating. And we all know that tabloids, they sell audiences to advertisers. So really, we kind of only have ourselves to blame if people read tabloids, right? Because they don't give us news. They give us nonsense. We like it, and they make money from that. So, I mean, a lot of the coverage of Meghan Markle was entirely disrespectful and absurd. Now, what do you expect from a tabloid? The way to fight that is to kind of not read it. But anyway, we got this woman who found herself in a situation where she was being unfairly targeted by tabloids because it sold newspapers, which sold the idiots who read those newspapers into the arms of advertisers. I found actually Prince Harry throughout the documentary to be less convincing. I think there's clearly things that he's wasn't prepared to reveal or say. He would allude to things, and I didn't fully believe what he had to say. I think if we are to criticize him for anything, it's maybe pulling the pin a little bit early and not trying to work out some things. There were a couple of things that seemed to me to be somewhat difficult to believe. So that she didn't know how to curtsy, when to curtsy, what to wear, when all that kind of stuff, how to behave like a royal, and that there was no one to teach her. I find slightly ridiculous that there wouldn't be someone that could have guided her. But that's on Harry in the end. If she felt she needed guidance, he clearly would have had the resources to provide that. And in terms of her sinking into depression and her psychological state and not being able to seek help, I also find that a bit, I don't want to say that it's hard to believe. I want to say that it's on Harry. It's absurd. I mean, I don't know why there would be any issue with that. We live in a milieu now where mental health is not taboo. We all talk about it, and so we should. And people who need help should be able to access it. And clearly Buckingham Palace does have the resources. Whether it was an issue of it getting into the public eye, who cares, right? This opens doors, and people, lives aren't always that easy, and we all need help from time to time. So I found that a bit, I don't want to say difficult to believe is not what I mean, but absurd, to be honest, if true. And if not true, they should have tried a little bit harder, right? So that would be where I would lay my criticism at it. But I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of the armchair psychologists who keep slamming her without any what I can see evidence. You know, Piers Morgan calls her a narcissist. Now, to label someone a narcissist, you need to be trained. Piers Morgan is not trained as a psychiatrist, as far as I can see, as far as I know. And I I googled the definition of a narcissist and all the character traits that a narcissist would exhibit. Piers Morgan ticks every fucking box. Like, if there was a fucking asshole narcissist in this story, Piers Morgan is it. There were some other criticisms about there was footage of photographers following them, which was apparently arranged by them or something like that, things like that. Now, I don't know. To me, that's on the producers and the way that the story, the documentary was put together. I can't see Harry and Meghan nickel and diming every single second of the way the production was created. Ben Shapiro has an issue with this. Ben Shapiro has an issue with people seeking to be called, being acknowledged as a male or a female or whatever. His views on trans rights are from the fucking 18th century. They're abhorrent. So, you know, I mean, I might choose to call Ben Shapiro a cunt, and he may not like that and say, no, I'm a man, please call me a man. I'm going to call you a cunt. That's his kind of attitude toward, you know, he has the right to call people what he thinks they are. So in that case, I have the right to call Ben Shapiro a cunt because I think he's a cunt when it comes to that issue. I don't think he's that all the time, and I think some of his perspectives are valid, but when it comes to trans rights, it's diabolical. So his picking issue with tiny little details about the production of the documentary itself is mischievous at best, misleading at worst. So to me, this is a story of someone who came into the royal family, rightly or wrongly, or for better or worse, didn't 100% understand what she was getting into, was unfairly targeted by the media, wasn't sufficiently defended to the media by the royal family because the royal family doesn't do that, and then decided with her husband to pull the pin. I reckon he pulled the pin first, though. I just have a feeling that what she was saying throughout the documentary, she gave it a go. She was willing to continue giving it a go and trying, but everything she did seemed to be, go wrong. And she was, overly maligned eventually by the British public, who are reading tabloids. God knows why, right? So I didn't see that she was a narcissist, unless, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I have no right to say that whether she is or she isn't, but from the checklist that I saw, she's not a narcissist. She just doesn't tick all the boxes. They're not even close to all of them. So another thing, a factor that I think might be being overlooked is that one of the problems I had is Harry's brother and brother and sister-in-law are two of the most boring people you're ever likely to come across in your life. So they're always going to get, oversized levels of attention from the media and from the public. I don't see that Meghan did that much wrong. Apart from pulling the pin too early, perhaps not standing her ground perhaps enough, or seeking out the help that she needed when she needed it. I can't imagine it wouldn't have been there had she actually properly reached out and sought it. So, and I'm just sick of people criticizing them and finding fault in everything they do. They're on a media tour. They're trying to make money by selling books and documentaries. That's what they do now. Big deal, right? It would be nice to think that Meghan would reunite, and Meghan and Harry would reunite in some way with their family, because, it's kind of sad to see a family break down like this. But, if they don't, they've chosen their path, and it doesn't make them narcissistic, and it doesn't make them anything other than people who are just trying to live their lives. So Piers Morgan is a cunt and a narcissist and a piece of shit. Needs to just shut the fuck up and get over himself. I mean, we don't care about him as much as people care about the royal family. I don't really care about the royal family, to be honest, but a lot of people do. More about them than Piers Morgan. So the narcissistic assholes that want to keep opining on the Merkel and Jerkel sob story, and it is a sob story. Let's not get overwhelmed in, who really cares, right? There's more important things going on in the world. It's a sob story. It's a little dull, but leave them alone. They seem to be decent people to me. Harry a little bit weak and a little bit quick to pull pins and stuff. But that's my view. That's the Paul de Havilland take. The Merkel and Jerkel story isn't all that the likes of Piers Morgan are making it out to be. To me, she seems like a genuine, compassionate, decent person who did her very best to be the best princess she could. So that's my take. Considering everyone else has had theirs, I thought I'd have mine. Thank you.